All right, we're recording. So this is the second run through, it looks like, and we'll start now.
Sir, Nassau County was 1490. Requesting permission to follow the intersect. Sir. Falling eyes, sir.
So I have to say, at least you have. Can you see my cursor? Yes, there we go. At least you have what looks like consistency throughout. Again, if you're following the Marine Corps order, it should be 12 inches between feet, between the heels, inside heel to inside heel. That's where it's measured to and from. You have consistency there, but it's still too small. Speaking of consistency, let's see, what is that? Second squad leader, your head is angled over to the right, and your feet are actually too wide, so your toes are out too far. Should be that 45-degree angle. 22 and a half, 22 and a half, that equals the 45 there. Okay. So the command is, and I should have said this at the first, but we're catching it on the second one. The command is fall in, not drill team, not flight, not platoon, not team, not anything. It's fall in. That's it. And you have a response. Okay, whatever. All right, we'll skip that. Got open ranks. It'd be nice if drones were silent, wouldn't it? Now, I know I mentioned this before for the commander. Remember, your shoulders moving upside down, up and down, and then your elbows are even coming in a little bit. You want to work all of that command voice from your diaphragm, from the abdominal muscles. Don't move any other part of your body. Oh, just in case, I ran into this at one point for JROTC. When whatever sequence, squad or platoon exhibition regulation, the cadets I worked with here locally, a couple of the schools, they'd actually have to have another cadet stand in front to be the judge. That's not necessary. The young man here who was sitting down did not have to stand up and return the salute. This is all just a run through. You don't have to salute anybody. You don't have to receive a salute from anybody. You're going through the motions. Now, it's good to rehearse that way, but going through practice, Commander, you know what you're doing. You're going to pop that salute, you're going to report in, and then you're going to have the judge salute, and then you're both dropping together. So I just wanted to get that out there, just so you know. Those pauses, holy cow. Now, Commander, before, when the platoon fell in and you moved over, that was fine. Here, you're moving over. Try not to do that. Try to be as accurate as possible as you come over. All right? Be as accurate as possible. Even if you have to take 2 full steps and then a half step. Just that accuracy is going to be the difference, or at least it could be the difference between you scoring higher or scoring a little lower. Want the guide on to be vertical. So it has a slight lean back there. Oh, I just remembered. So I had a Marine Corps friend of mine tell me that what we were talking about earlier about the guide on, lifting the guide on, the middle finger reaches for the thumb and then comes up to the elbow. So if you come thumb, elbow, or you're not going to specifically hit the thumb. It's just too far unless you have extraordinarily long arms or whatever, but you're reaching toward the thumb. Remember I said you're not going straight across and lifting up, you're going over and down and then lifting up to horizontal here. So reach for your right thumb, reach for that thumb and bring it up to the elbow. Now, thumb to elbow, that's quite a long distance. That's got to be like a foot on me. So I'm not saying to raise the staff that high. What I'm saying is that you're going to reach at that angle towards your thumb and then lift up. The drone sounds like angry bees. A swarm of angry bees is coming for you. Now, Commander, I got to tell you, the commands I'm starting to concentrate more on your voice, and you're having a lot of you're putting out some gravel with your vocal cords there. So your drill team, quite possibly bringing up some phlegm every time you call a command. So that's detrimental to your vocal cords. That's not a good thing for your throat in the long term. You're young and you probably won't notice anything for another 10, 15, maybe even a little bit longer than that. But eventually you'll notice something that if you continue to consistently call commands like this, you could damage your voice. And again, you won't notice it for a while. And then when you do, it's too late. So instead of having that gravel in there, what I'd like you to do is try to, you have some, though that could be the gravel. So here, let me adjust my camera here just a bit. All right. So here are my ribs. These are my ribs right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my hand. My index finger is on the my right side, the last rib on my right side. The heel of my thumb is on the last rib on my left. So when I'm going to call commands, I'm not going to call a normal command that I would use with my microphone right there. I'll explode your eardrums. But when I call that command, I'm going to try and feel the diaphragm is here. It's the muscle that separates your upper torso, your lower torso, so your lungs don't fall down. So you have that diaphragm. It's a U-shaped muscle, pretty big. And then you have your abdominal muscles, and then your obliques and all that. So you're going to use all of your abdominal muscles, your obliques, but especially the diaphragm. The diaphragm lowers, it expands your lungs. The diaphragm shortens or raises, and it pushes the air out of your lungs. What you want to do is time your commands to coincide with the diaphragm tightening, shortening, and pushing that air out as quickly as possible and as in a controlled fashion. So you put your hand here to try and feel your muscles. So right face. Now, if I were to really project, it would be very loud. But what I'm trying to show you is that's what you're feeling for. Right, I can feel my abdominal muscles tighten. That's what you want to do. But if you have a trouble or an issue or a problem feeling those muscles, it's okay to force them, because you're trying to get your brain to recognize and to engage those muscles. So you want your abdominal muscles, you want your obliques, you want the diaphragm muscle to tighten, and forcing them is fine at first. You'll start to get the feeling, that muscle memory of using the muscles, having your brain engage the muscles. It's a connection that sometimes people just don't have. They don't have that connection. They need to make the connection, and then they're able to engage those muscles whenever they need to, at will. So that's where you get projection. That's where you get your loudness. Projection and loudness are different. You're marching at a consistent tempo, like I mentioned last time, but it's a slow tempo. That Marine Corps has and look at that guide on it, it's super high. Marine Corps has a tempo of 112. I'm sorry, yeah, it is 112 to 120. So the middle range there is 116. 116 steps per minute, or in musical terms, beats per minute. Yep, too high. And then, Commander, we also talked, or I mentioned before, that you're turning too early there. And then that's the wrong command. It is the correct command. Forward march is the correct command for obliques or obliques. So not only is Commander smacking her platform, her toe down there, looks like a couple of others are as well. Not everybody. So there's a lack of consistency there, but we want a heel strike on that pivot. So you heel strike, roll forward, and then pivot. And everybody should be doing that, whether it's a column, whether it's a flank, or whether it's an oblique. So on the change step, what was interesting is that at least first squad leader there, brought her foot forward, and the lean back did. Stop it. Watch her foot. It doesn't land, and the camera keeps going back and forth, but the foot doesn't it consistently lands while marking time, but then on the change step, her foot comes forward just a bit. Just something that I noticed. Yeah, forward march, 2 consecutive steps. 2 consecutive left or right steps for the forward. It's better to call it on the left. You have 1 more right step in a marked time, and then you can take that left step forward. And I know with a lot of the what I'm talking about, this is going to take a big change in muscle memory. So next time, whoever's operating the camera, next time it would be great if you just leave it. Don't zoom in and zoom out. Just leave it where it is and then follow the team. That would be perfect. So one of the things you can see, whoever's leaning back, especially you, first squad leader, after the turn, you have a difficult time taking your first step forward because you're leaning back. Your center of balance is at the rear, almost behind your feet, behind your heel. So you're having to dig your heel in to pull yourself forward, and you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to pull yourself forward at all, and that's exactly what you're doing. So you have a different marching technique. Actually, first and second squad leaders, it looks like you might be. First, you're definitely leaning back. Second, maybe, I don't know, if it doesn't look like everybody else is. So again, there's a variation of technique, inconsistency of technique there. But watch as she turns around. There. And you have excess work to do in your hips because your center of balance is back here when it should be up here. I know I did that behind and away from and toward the camera, so that's kind of weird. But even if it's just a couple of inches, having your center of balance back here while you're marching is completely different from here. And not only is it poor technique, it's inconsistent with everybody else. Now, if you look at what are they? Georgia Northern University, something like that. Blue Ridge Rifles. Look them up online. If you look at Blue Ridge Rifles, the whole team marches with a big lean back. We could say that it's poor technique, but in the case of Blue Ridge Rifles, what they do is absolutely fantastic. They want that technique, and so they train to that technique. It's for their exhibition drill sequence that they perform that they'll lean back. So, sure, we could say that it is bad for their back. It's poor posture, etc. However, they pull it off and they make it look really good. So, if everybody's going to do it, then everybody's going to do it. But this is the judge in me talking. You can't do it for regulation drill. Regulation drill is a very set sequence of events, and there's set standards, and leaning back is not one of those standards. Now, when we get into exhibition drill, yeah, fine. Okay, no problem. You're in exhibition drill now, but you've been leaning back the whole time. and it's inconsistent. Your recovery from each of the moves is really good. However, one of the things that I've noticed variation from the platoon. You have one of the things. It's the same. One of the things that my drill team did, even though we won state championships consistently year after year after year. This is back in the 80s, 79 through 83 while I was on the team. One of the things that my drill team did was we did every single move from the flight formation, Air Force Junior ROTC, we called a platoon flight. So we had a block of 16, 4x4. So everything was predicated on the squad leaders leading and the rest of the flight trailing. And that's how we did everything. Now we were able to move the flight around because we did some different moves that enabled the flight to not only march at an angle but then go straight forward, and still the element leaders were leading. So back then it was fantastic. It was based on exhibition drill from the 1950s that I mentioned in the other video. So if you can pass through the formation, I know you want to come back to your formation and march. I get that. I understand that. But if you can pass through it and go right into another move without command, that would be interesting. That would start getting you away from platoon formation, exhibition move. Platoon formation, let me do it this way. Platoon formation, exhibition move. Platoon formation, exhibition move. Platoon formation, exhibition move. Platoon formation, exhibition move. This is the international symbol for exhibition move, just in case you didn't know. Yeah, I just made that up. But it's going to be a variation that's going to keep your audience watching instead of the standard what I just went through. So it's something to think about. It's something to help engage your audience, and it also could be the difference between a win and a loss, a placement, etc. And then also march a move here. Now I don't know if you're doing it, if there's a certain size that you're looking for of the... So I don't know if you have a certain... You're marching on a basketball court, but you're just doing it right here on this little cul-de-sac type of a street, an entrance to whatever building this is. And I'm glad you have this practice area. I'm glad you have the good weather, etc., etc. And I'm glad you're not wearing those stupid masks. But if you're thinking of basketball court, and you march down this end, and then you have to perform a rear march, are you marching? Is this the thought process that you're marching all the way back to this end of the basketball court so that just so you can turn around and then do more moves? Is that the thinking here? Because if it is, then your audience is going to go like this. Holy cow, not again. Okay, so we just have to watch them march in platoon formation in reverse. Oh, now they've turned around. Okay, so now we can watch some nice exhibition drill moves again. So if that's the there, that's better. So if that's the case, and hopefully it isn't, hopefully it's just to encase your moves right in this small area, because this is the only area you have to drill, to practice. Hopefully then you'll be able to think in a larger scale once you get into the basketball court, and you won't have to go back and forth and back and forth. But I encourage you to explore some moves that take you from going back and forth and back and forth. One of the things that I told a California team a couple of years ago was that's what they did. They went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Now they performed going both ways, but they never went back court. They never went to forecourt. You know, if we look at it as a stage, they never came towards the audience. They never moved away from the audience. It was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it works, but it only works at a certain level. Then you have to think of other teams that come in that have a better concept of how to move within the basketball court. This space right here. How do we best and most effectively use our space here? So and Dan, I don't know if you have seen. I don't know if we've talked about it on my website in the downloads section. There's links to routine mapping tools, and I have one for basketball court. It's divided up into, I think, two-step intervals, a whole grid for the basketball court. So it's something to think about, that you might want to engage the audience a little better. This is engaging, but only at a certain level. So you've mastered a certain level, and now I think maybe you want to then move it up a little bit. Okay, so that's it for this one. And hey, only 26 minutes, so I'm getting better, I guess. Shorter anyway. Thanks.